Hi gang, so this is my challenge project for this week using augmented reality. So last year I tried to use this new app called Wallamy to develop what's called a walking orrery, or a solar system trail, or a walking solar system model. It has various names. The idea is that you express the distances between the planets and the size of the planets even in terms of its relative size to the sun. So you could pick any size you'd like, but obviously there's limitations and restrictions on how far you're willing to go for the distance between the planets. And this particular experiment didn't really work out that well with the AR app, mostly because without any point of reference, I set up the model on a linear park, and without any point of reference, it was very difficult for a person coming along with the app to find the relative planets, which I'm using the scale of the sun being 12 inches. So at that distance, Pluto is well over a mile away. And so someone coming along with the app, which has geospatial location, to try to find the various planets, even with knowing approximately where they are, it didn't work. They couldn't find it. There were no points of reference. So I wanted to do something obviously a different take on this project. I didn't want to recycle the same old thing, but I wanted to kind of revisit this because it is something that I spent some time on here with respect to augmented reality. So let me show you the model here. I've only done a few of the planets so far. There's Mars, 63 feet away from our 12-inch sun. And so we're zooming into the inner solar system here. I just did the sun through Mars because at this scale, with the sun being a foot in diameter, Pluto would be much farther than I care to be away from here. And I'm lucky that I live on a dead end, and so I could put my street to use here. And I'll confess, this is not the first time I've done this. Actually, I've actually done this once before with my kids, and I did make a YouTube video. The difference here being I'm using augmented reality, so I'll show you that in a moment to see how that would work in a learning exercise such as this. So this is Venus is 77 feet from the sun. Again, if the sun were a foot in diameter. And there are a number of different scale calculators available online. You can put in any dimension you want, in inches or centimeters, etc. And it'll churn out what the distances should be and the relative sizes of the planets. But at this scale, the sizes are irrelevant. You know, they probably would just be so small as to be not being able to be represented. And there is our sun here at the end of my cul-de-sac at this manhole cover, and that is a little over 12 inches in diameter, but close enough. So if the sun were 12 inches in diameter, there we are. And you can see that things get pretty far pretty fast, with Mercury being 41 feet. Luckily, I have a 100-foot tape measure to do this. Otherwise, it would be a bit of a challenge with the typical 25-foot tape measure. Venus again. And of course, it's important to note that the planets wouldn't line up all this cooperatively. In the real world, they're in orbits and so forth and have different, relative positions to the sun. But again, this is just a model. And I think the value of the AR aspect to this is that you don't have to have a permanent installation, which is kind of the drawback. I mean, that's where the cost is, and it's the drawback of setting these kinds of things up. In fact, the reason I experimented with the AR app in the first place for this was because I was looking to actually make a real one of these in a local wildlife conservation area, and there was a lot of pushback because of the idea of a permanent installation of signs or fixtures of some kind. And so I thought, well, you know, with AR coming along, this is something that can be done anywhere, anytime by pretty much anybody, and with very little cost. It would be a great opportunity to be taken on the road or done by teachers in a school parking lot, etc. If I could get it to work. And that is the issue. Not sure the technology is quite there yet, but we'll see. We'll come back in a minute. Thanks.